Mayor there, that creates turbulence down the side of the vehicle. It's actually pushing on the side of the vehicle and helping with that straight line stability. And then you have the 2 vortex generators on the rear combination lamp, and that creates turbulence behind the vehicle, helping with that straight line stability. But it also creates a downdraft on the vehicle and helps with busy ride. The front balance panel on the truck, we have improved that and helped reduce the coefficient drag by 3 counts. And then we added a rear spoiler on the truck as well to help with reducing our coefficient drag by 3 counts. And finally, safety. We pride ourselves in also thinking about our customer safety. Same reason that I mentioned the SAA J2807. We've added safety features like blind spot monitoring and first and segment cross traffic alert, or monitor, excuse me. And with that, I'd like to encourage you all today, if you can. We've got towing, we've got off-road and on-road courses, but please come out and drive my new truck. Tell me what you think about it. I really appreciate your time. Jeff's going to come up now and give you some more details. Jeff's from the University of Toyota. Thank you very much.
Morning, everyone. Morning. Seats are comfortable, aren't they? So I'm just going to walk you through some of the finer details on both 4Runner and Tundra. Being a 4Runner owner myself, I got a 2000, that's my nerd toy. So I have a vested interest in seeing this mid-cycle update to market. So just looking through some of the exterior, interior, and then also some of the things we've changed on the grade structure. We just want to give you a heads up so you know what you're looking for. So you don't have to worry about taking feverish notes. We have outlines for both 4Runner and Tundra in your kit. First looking at the exterior, with the SR5, really, body on frame, we want to preserve that more rugged nature. Trail, again, we're adding advanced traction systems, available technology like KDSS or our kinetic dynamic suspension system, which is optional on trail. Really maintain and preserve that rugged nature of this trim. On limited, again, maintaining that sophisticated approach, so we have more of an urban and a rugged look for it. So some of the changes around the vehicle you'll notice, front grille, front and rear bumpers, SR5 and Trail do differ a little bit. Trail actually has undercladding on the front and rear bumper. Projector headlamps, so we're using our polyellipsoid projector low beams now instead of a multi-reflector low beam. We also have LED taillights with a smoked appearance on the lower portion. Wheels, we have new 17-inch wheels for both SR5 and Trail. Also on Limited, we have a new black treatment to set that apart. Also the antenna, the mast antenna has been relocated to the rear quarter window just to clean up the look of the vehicle. Other exterior changes, we've made the mud guards just a little bit longer just to keep rocks and debris off the bumpers and help defend from rock chips. The roof rails, we've also updated as well, just for a unique look across the different trim levels. Side mirrors now include the vortex generators on the base. Also the fenders, the open fenders on Trail are now color keyed, just to give it a new updated look. Rocker panel on the Limited, you'll notice on the lower portion and then just under the window also has a little chrome accent just to set it apart from the others. Tow hitch is now standard equipment, so 4Runner actually is rated to tow 4,700 pounds, and it's J2807 certified as well. We've also added trailer sway control. Moving on to the interior, SR5, we wanted to really upgrade some of the amenities, standard. Also add a new premium version. Trail, we also added dark accents around the vehicle just to set it apart from the SR5. And again, Limited, we just refined some of that interior components just for a more sophisticated feel. So we have an auto-dimming rearview mirror that's standard equipment now. Switched the instrumentation lights. We talked about the darkened door trim and center stack trim. The leather steering wheel is now standard equipment, so we used to use a urethane on Trail and SR5. As well as a power driver seat is now standard equipment on SR5, so all models. Backup camera has also been made standard, and that's integrated into the audio display. So you have a nice big backup camera screen. We're also launching our new audio system. It's our next generation Entune audio, which you'll hear more about with one of our guys, Ken Parkman. But basically, you have standard satellite radio with Entune Audio Plus, the premium audio, which is available on SR5 and Trail. Actually include navigation in our app suite. And then our JBL includes the navigation in the app suite, but adds JBL power and speakers. Soft text is available on SR5 and Trail, so we're adding some flexibility for some of our local markets that want a premium version of those models. And we've also added a new color combination with a redwood leather trim and with wooden accents in the limited. So looking at our build strategy, I kind of hinted at some of the premium versions. SR5, again, we want to improve the perceived value by changing around some of the equipment that customers see, touch, feel to improve the perceived value. SR5 Premium, you're adding an upgraded stereo, soft text. Trail also has that two-tier approach. So really, my personal forerunner that I'm very proud of, it's one of the few models in the 3rd gen. Originally back then we had a limited grade, and that's how you got the rear locker, which if you know the off-road groups, even though they may never push the button, there's just something about having a locker on the vehicle. Well, in the 3rd gen, what we had was an SR5 that had that rear locker, so it was kind of like the best of both worlds. You didn't have to step up and pay a premium to get into the limited trim to get that rear locker. So what we've actually done is we've repositioned Trail to have a lower grade and then also a premium, so you're adding soft text and again, the upgraded audio. Limited, again, add some of those premium features expected in a luxury SUV. So that's a wrap on the Forerunner. There's some great drive courses out here today where you'll really get to check out some of the technology here with Forerunner. And moving on to Tundra, we're going to do something a little bit different with Tundra. We have a 360 app that allows us to do kind of a virtual walk around on the vehicle. So this is actually going to be downloadable for you guys. It'll be available to the public in a month or so. Right now it's native to just iPad, but when it launches in August, it will be available for iPad, all iOS devices, iPhone, and then also for Droid-based versions. So you can actually scroll around real time here. So getting into the style, I mean, again, that front, we have a bolder looking front end with that front end that's been raised. Getting into some of the grade differentiation, you want to look at the grille. So for example, SR5 will have like a matte black center with a chrome outer. Limited here, you can see it's a billet silver inner with a chrome outer. That's coordinated with that lower bumper. Again, front bumper and rear bumper, the new 3-piece modular design. There's 2 different materials we're using. We have a chrome wrapped steel that's been increased in thickness. And then also we have a resin bumper, which anytime you see a color keyed vehicle with color keyed bumpers, so platinum, that's standard, we'll actually be using the resin bumpers. But one note just on this upper grille, you notice the upper opening, they added a shadow box design, so it has a deeper look, it has a more functional look for that upper vent. So looking at another differentiator, headlamps, we switched from a 2-bulb to a single bulb setup. LED daytime running lights are standard on our premium version, so platinum and 1794 edition. Getting into what moves Tundra around, we have 3 available motors. So we have a 4-liter V6 with a 5-speed and a 3909 rear end. Also, the 390 is in our 4.6 V8, so that's our smaller V8. That's made to a 6-speed transmission. Our 5.7, that's our real workhorse. I mean, if you go to our dealership and look at what our mix is, our 5.7 is our real standard motor. Again, that 5.7 is made into a 6-speed with a 430 rear end. So you can see we're much more aggressive with the 5.7, and that's what ultimately gives you our ultimate tone. So one of the side note on some of the changes we've made, we've actually switched transfer case suppliers. So just to give you an example of the overbuilt philosophy, here you have a transfer case that's, its gears are built from solid metal. So you start with a billet metal and cut your gears from that metal. Other manufacturers will actually use powdered metal and compress that with heat to form their gears. What you end up with in the end, the difference is just a more durable gear. It's not cheaper to build, but it's more durable. Other examples, just in the transfer case alone, we heat treat our shafts to make them stronger. Also, we have a larger bearing. We've revised the drive shafts. So there's a lot of changes underneath the skin. The one big change, I think, for customers, or what you guys will notice actually out on the drive, is we've improved the software controlling the on-the-fly switch to four-wheel drive. So we had some questions yesterday. It's two-wheel drive to four-high, is shift on the fly. I'm told the speed to where you can switch into four-high on the fly is around 62 miles an hour, but people are telling me they're seeing a higher cap than that. And Mike Swears is shaking his head. Don't tell people. So when you switch into four low, that's when you have to be stopped, pop it in neutral, and then you can put it into four low. Talking about our some of the other traction technologies, traction control standard, but Tundra also features other standard traction systems. So Auto LSD is our traction system. So traction control, the two things it does to gain traction, you stop the spinning tire with the brakes and you pull engine power back just to kind of rein in that the traction, then you can accelerate away again. Well, what Auto LSD, when you press the traction control button once, you'll see Auto LSD come on. What that'll actually do is it won't cut your engine power. So if you're on the trail, I would definitely say if you want to try on some of the harder trails, leave it in two-wheel drive. Just pop traction control off and use Auto LSD. So we won't cut engine power, but we will stop that spinning tire. Just keep in the throttle and it'll just climb right up. So that same system is actually applied to all four tires in A-Track. So that's the difference between Auto LSD and A-Track. A-Track's a four-wheel drive version of Auto LSD. We also include vehicle sway control, or vehicle stability control, which includes trailer sway control. So that's a nice new feature. Suspension, as Mike mentioned, has been retuned. Off-road package trucks also have a revised leaf spring. Remember, our rear suspension, it's a marvel. They've added in towed-out rear leaf spring geometry. That combined with staggered outboard mounted shocks gives the back end a lot of control, a lot of torsional stability. Moving around the back of the vehicle, actually let's touch on cab types. We said that there's 3 different cab types available. Just to give you an idea of what our build strategy is, we have a B cab, which you'll also hear referred to as regular cab, and that's made into an 8.1 foot bed, so that's our long bed. Moving up to double cab has either our long bed, so it's our 8.1 foot bed, or our 6.5 foot bed. And moving up to Crew Max, which you see pictured here, it's our short bed, so it's a 5.5 foot bed. There's 2 different wheelbases. The only one that has a much longer wheelbase is the double cab long bed, and that's the one if you're looking to use like a 5th wheel, that's the one that you'd want just for cab clearance. Getting into let's look at the rear design. There you get a look at more of what we're talking about when we're talking about chiseled. Definitely some aggressive sheet metal bends on the back of the vehicle. Inner bed dimensions are the same as the 07 to 13 Tundra. So we already have a fully stocked catalog of accessories for Tundra. That was one of the smart choices Mike and his team made just to make sure we have those at launch. Also, we carry over the dampened rear tailgate function. So if you've never done that, normally with a truck, 10 years ago, you'd pull the handle and have to make sure you lower the tailgate. Those tailgates can be pretty heavy. So it's actually a damper system behind the left taillight, which you can just let it fall on its own and it won't slam down. It also lightens the tailgate for closing with one-handed operation. So I think one of the stories that we need to expand on with you guys is the rear tailgate. It seems like such a trivial thing just for stamping on the tailgate, but again, this is another one of those stories that can give you a picture into the minds of our engineers and the degree to which they build. So, you know, this is our second vehicle that we've launched into this North American self-reliance approach to market. So what we've actually done is we had everyone from Calci all the way through manufacturing in the room when they were talking about, you know, some of the things that we're going to bring to market, like the stamping. Initially, when they did their prototype stamping, they were finding dimples and wrinkles around the outer stamping. You know, it's a much different stamp than what we did in the 60s and 70s on the back end of our you know, smaller Toyota pickups. So what we did is we're like, okay, well, let's go study the competition. So, you know, some of our competitors have them across the bottom of the tailgate. And so we took them back and looked at them, and they had the same imperfections. So when Mike's talking about, you know, they work some of the chamfers, they work some of the bends, it really is aggressive use of sheet metal bends. You look in around like the center of the D, the R, and the A, there's a lot of detail there. So I definitely say if you guys are snapping pictures and you have good light today, that'd make for some great photos. Okay, talked about the tail lamps and those integrated vortex generators. Those also help when you're towing a trailer. Remember, settle down the back end, add aero stability. Now, we said we have a standard backup camera. The camera is integrated into the handle next to that integrated Toyota emblem on the handle. Also note we have a locking tailgate, so that'll help alleviate worries of theft. We also have parking sonar available, and we have our blind spot monitor system. Again, the reason we're talking so much about that is because that's a segment exclusive. One of the other small stories, our 4 and 7 pin connector. When you're hooking up the trailer, there's a wiring harness back there so you can power lights on the trailer. Previously, we had it mounted below the rear bumper, and that's pretty standard in the segment. We've actually relocated that next to the license plate light. Now, the reason we put it there is because if you know there's a license plate light right there, and not only does it light the plate, but if you've ever tried to hook up a trailer at night, you know, you're kind of trying to hunt around pulling the flashlight in one hand to hook up your wiring harness. Now it's actually illuminated. So just, again, some of that thoughtfulness. We talked a lot about J2807. I know some other automakers have actually started to talk about individual tests, like, you know, our cooling system is J2807 certified. That may be a good approach to talk about some of the strengths of your product, but listening to our engineers, the way they flip it is, well, what does that say about the brakes of the vehicle? What does that say about all the other important components? It's not just about, you know, making sure that you're not, you know, setting check engine lights. It's about if you put the vehicle in park on a steep grade, will it be able to hold the trailer and hold the weight of the vehicle without slipping? So that's why we harp on it. Our 4.6 liter V8 has a tow hitch with electrical wiring harness option, and then our 5.7 comes standard with our tow package, so you get a heavy-duty battery, alternator. Again, it comes standard with that 10.5-inch 430 ring gear. The 4 and 7 pin connector. So yeah, it really is a durable, nice tow package. Moving on to the interior. This is the other cool thing about this 360 app. You can kind of pan around and zoom. So we talked about the rear seat, how double cab, Crewmax are both tip-up seats. The jack and everything is actually under the seat and the floor now. As for seating itself, there's 2 different combinations. You'll see a bench seat and bucket seats. Bench seats are standard in SR and SR5. SR5 has the option to switch over to bucket seats as well. In limited, that's when you add leather, and this is the leather that we were using on current gen. And then when you're talking about the premium perforated leather that we've now added, that's in platinum grades and 1794 grades. So again, that's a Lexus quality leather in a pickup truck. Talking about airbags, we have 8 standard airbags. We've actually improved the seat side airbag in the front row. So now it's a torso, abdomen, and pelvic airbag. We also have knee airbag standard on